Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the 4 fundamental pillars of any production system, often called the 4 M's. You can really think of them as the only 4 levers you can pull to create value. 3 are the resources you have, and the 4th, well, that's the recipe for how you put them all together. Let's get right into it.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the goal, what we're actually trying to do here. Then, we'll build up each of the 4 pillars that get us there. And to finish, we'll see how they all lock together to create a really powerful system that's designed to just crush waste.
So, before we can even start building these pillars, we have to know what they're supposed to be holding up. Every single production system, and I mean every system, whether it's building a car or processing an insurance claim, it really only exists for one single reason.
And that one reason is to create value. Now, here's the part that you have to get right. Value is always defined by the customer. Not you, not your boss, the customer, the person who's actually paying for the thing. And a lean system, it is absolutely obsessed with delivering that value.
That is a huge question, right? But the answer, it turns out, is incredibly simple. You can boil all that complexity down to just 4 things. 3 core resources that you manage, and 1 method that dictates how you use them. So let's jump in with that first resource.
Okay, our first pillar is material. And in a lean world, we're not just talking about raw stuff. No, this is about creating a perfect, smooth, uninterrupted flow. It means having exactly what you need right when you need it with absolutely 0 defects. In this slide just perfectly shows the 2 different ways of thinking about it. You've got the old school push system, where you just make stuff based on a guess, a forecast, and push it down the line. That's why you see that guy drowning in inventory. But then you have the lean pull system. Here, nothing, and I mean nothing, gets made until the customer at the very end of the line actually asks for it. It's totally driven by real demand, not a forecast.
And you want to know who was a master of this? Henry Ford. Get this. 100 years ago, at his massive River Rouge plant, it took just 81 hours to go from a pile of iron ore being dumped off a ship to a finished car driving away. 81 hours! That's the incredible power you get when you master your material flow.
Let's move on to pillar number 2, machines. This is everything from your laptop to a giant stamping press, all the tools you use. And the goal here is simple to say, but so hard to do. 0 breakdowns, 0 defects, and absolutely 0 unplanned stops. Period.
The whole philosophy behind this is something called total productive maintenance, or TPM. And that word total is the key. See, this isn't about just having a maintenance crew on speed dial for when things break. It's about building a proactive culture where every single person on the team owns the health of the equipment. And you can really see the massive ambition of TPM right here. The goal isn't just, getting a little better at fixing stuff. It's about creating a system where you literally engineer breakdowns and defects out of existence. And it only works when everyone is involved.
Which brings us perfectly to our third and, let's be honest, most critical pillar, people. You can have the fanciest machines and the best materials on earth, but as the lean author Pascal Dennis says, team members are its heart. Without engaged, skilled people, the whole thing just falls apart.
And Taiichi Ohno, one of the main architects of the whole Toyota production system, he really gets at a huge shift in thinking here. It's this move away from relying on the hero, the lone genius craftsman, and instead building a system based on disciplined, collaborative teamwork, where it's the team that improves the process. So, what's that actually look like? Well, it means you invested deeply in your people. It's all about nonstop training to build skills, creating good, disciplined work habits, and, this is the big one, empowering the teams on the front line to find their own problems and actually solve them. It's a culture of respect and always learning.
Okay, so we've got our perfect material, our reliable machines, and our skilled people. But how do you make sure all those pieces work together in the same way every single time? Well, that is the job of our 4th and final pillar, method. This is your repeatable recipe for success.
And the bedrock of any great method is standard work. Now, it is so important to get this right. This is not about creating some rigid, bureaucratic rulebook. No way. It's about agreeing on and documenting the current best way we know how to do a job. That standard isn't the end of the line. It's the starting line for your next improvement.
So how do you improve that standard? You use the engine of continuous improvement, the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle, or PDCA. It's a really simple but powerful loop. You plan an experiment, you do it. You check the results to see what happened, and then you act on what you learned to create the new standard. It's literally the scientific method, but for your daily work.
So there you have it. Material, machine, people, and method. The 4 pillars. But here is the most important part of this entire explainer. The real magic. The breakthrough. It doesn't come from working on each of these things by themselves. It happens when you finally see them as one interconnected living system. This idea is called whole systems thinking, and this quote just explains it beautifully. Think about it. If your only job is to optimize the pipe, you'll make it as thin and cheap as possible. But then you force yourself to buy a giant, expensive, energy-hungry pump to push water through it. By looking at the whole system at once, you realize that spending a little more on a bigger pipe lets you use a tiny, efficient pump, making the whole system cheaper and better.
And that's the whole point. These pillars are totally interdependent. You can't change one without affecting all the others. A great method is useless without skilled people. Your amazing machines will break down without quality material. Real efficiency only happens when you balance and improve all 4 of them together, as one.
And please don't think for a second this is just for factories. This applies to any work you do. So just take a moment and think about your own job. Whether you write code, run marketing campaigns, or manage projects, which of these 4 pillars, material, machine, people, or method, is your single biggest opportunity for a breakthrough right now? So that's our look at the 4 M's of production. On behalf of the entire Kaizen Academy community, thanks so much for watching. If you found this useful, go ahead and subscribe to our channel for more explainers just like this one, designed to help you make your processes better.